this is Ryan from RLS ASMR, and look, it's a new microphone. So I bought a new microphone. This should be vastly better microphone quality, I am hoping. But I'm gonna go into post and see if I need to boost anything, turn anything down. But you guys let me know your thoughts. The biggest thing is I just didn't want to use my Yeti because this has like the Yeti has this loud whining noise, so I wanted to get a new microphone. But today I'm having some top ramen. Ooh. I don't know if you can maybe. And then you know what? I gotta do it the real way. I bought these because I'm a weeb, right? So I have to use them the right way. Also, I forgot my soda. Be right back. Got my soda. Forgot my soda. However, so recently, I think the movie. I don't know if I can give like a really good movie review, but I at least want to talk about the movie Nosferatu. And I am talking about the new one. I'm not talking about the old one, excuse me, I don't know when it came out, but the one that came out in like 2024, yeah, last year, that's the one I'm talking about. The only recognizable actor that I saw, well, there was two. The guy from X-Men, the Days of Future Past, he based or maybe not Days of Future Past, but like the X-Men First Class. He plays Beast. I don't know the actor's name, but that was the main male interest in Nosferatu. And the female lead, she was also really good. I don't know her name either. So, like, if you're unfamiliar with Nosferatu, I'll kind of break down the plot. But, and also, yes, I will be, like, spoiling the movie for if you haven't seen Nosferatu. So, I guess this is your warning. Whenever I do movie reviews, anything titled movie reviews, unless I say so, like, in the video, that I won't be spoiling it. Assume that I'm probably going to be spoiling it. I always try and let people know, though. But, because it's really hard to give spoilers reviews. Because then there's things you can't really talk about. Then you're like left with things that you kind of have to talk around, which I've done a couple times in other videos, but it's not like can't talk about it for the movie as long. So with Nosferatu, we have this woman. She has strange dreams, basically. And it's at the beginning of the film. I can't exactly recall what happens because wasn't the one. I was watching it being streamed, so I couldn't rewind and rewatch it. I do want to rewatch it so I have a better understanding. So if some things are incorrect or if I forget some details, just bear with me. But, and feel free to correct me in the comments so that I'm aware, but I don't like, I got the overall gist of Nosferatu. Like, I got the general idea of what was going on. And, like, all of the main plot points I was there for. But I might have missed some minor details. So, something happened in the beginning. I think you see him, like, convene with her in her bedroom or something like that. And then it cuts to her having, like, a really bad dream. And her husband is, like, gonna have to go to work. Which, he's already late for work, but it cuts to the title screen, and well, not title screen, but apparently it's 1834 Germany. But it's funny because I don't remember where he said they traveled to. I don't know if it would be like Castlevania, Transylvania, or like Romania. Like, I said Castlevania. Like, I don't know if they went to Romania. But basically, he goes to work. They're like, hey bro, you're late. He's like, oh, I'm sorry. And they're like, hey, there's this guy. I forget his name. Orlok. Is it Count Orlok? They're like, he wants to buy. He's near death. So he wants to buy a really expensive house. I guess this guy's like a real estate agent. Or whatever you would call someone in the 1830s that sells real estate. And yes, I drink the broth. And so they're like, yeah, he's near death, so you gotta go to the go to him and try to sell him the house. So he takes this long journey. He gets on a horse. He says, now his wife, the one that has like the strange dreams. And earlier when I said he convenes with him, I think like you see Nosferatu at the beginning of the film, but you may not. It's just, or maybe it's implied that you see him. I don't quite remember. But she's like, hey, honey, you shouldn't go on this trip. I feel really bad about it. But she doesn't want to tell him about like her past and whatever. And so she's like, don't go on the trip. And he's like, honey, we have to. They're gonna pay me a lot of money to go on this trip because that's what his boss told him. And they make a lot of references to him being poor. So it's like, he's like, hey, once we're not, in poverty, I won't have to do stuff like this, and we can just live together and it'll be fine. Second one. But they're like, but she's like, oh no, I have a feeling that like, because she's in the bed, when she wakes up from the bad dream, she's like, look, like if whatever you're about to go do, I have a feeling you won't come back and you'll die or whatever. That's before he goes to work. And then after he comes back, he tells her about it. He goes on a horse. In the meantime, though, his wife goes to go stay with, I guess, his friend. It seems like Frederick. And then he has like 2 kids and a wife. And he has another little one on the way. So. And he tells us all this. You're probably thinking what I'm thinking at this point. You're like, oh, that doesn't sound good. But let me tell you more. So our main character, he goes to the house, like Count Orlok's house or whatever, and it's a long. Well, actually, he doesn't go there initially. He takes his horse. He goes. He finds himself in like this random Romanian village. And I say Romanian because the subtitle said speaking Romanian, but it was the people talking. But he later refers to it as a gypsy village when he's talking to Count Orlok. And so correct me on any of those details. I'm not exactly sure. I know it's like vampires are like Romanian or something like that. I'm not exactly certain. So anyways, he goes to he stops off the village and they're trying to show him away. They're like, hey bro, we don't take kind visitors, basically. And he goes, hey, I'm really tired. I have to go meet with Count Orlok and at the whatever manor. And they're like, oh, don't speak of that evil here. But he's like, I will pay double the rent. He said he'll pay like double the price to stay there for one night. For the lodging or whatever. And they were like, okay, sounds good to us. And then what happens is that he seems to go into some sort of dream sequence. And he, which I don't actually know if there's a mute on here. Oh no, the mute's at the top. Okay, I just saw that. But anyways, he goes, he goes into a dream sequence. Or maybe where basically he gets up out of the bed, I think, and then he goes out and he walks and he sees people in the woods, and there's this naked woman on a horse. This movie, yeah, by the way, I should have given you guys a disclaimer. This movie, if you're very like easily weirded out, not if you're squeamish, there's not a lot of gore. Well, if you're squeamish, there's one particular scene that I won't describe in detail. Well, I'll have to describe it. If you're squeamish, you may not watch this film. It's not that there's a lot of gore in it. There's just a lot of like very specific moments. I can take a lot of gore. I can watch very gory stuff. And Nosferatu, it didn't make me feel weird for any particular reason. But it was just that it was a weird film. And there's some moments that go, hey, like, what the fuck? Like, it will give you it will give you what the fuck moments. So if you're not cool with that, maybe don't watch. But hey, if you want to go for it, go for it. Anyways. So, he sees this naked woman on a horse. And they're doing these chants, and they're like, oh, thank you for the bless, God bless, like, this virgin, or, like, we're gonna sacrifice this virgin or something, I don't know. Yeah, people with torches. And then they go to this grave, and then they impale this dude in this grave with a stake. And it's at that point we realize it's a dream. Bro wakes up. And then he then makes his way. He goes outside. Everyone's gone. And then he's like, okay, so I gotta make my way to like this Count Orlok guy's house. So he tries to go around. He starts looking for his horse. And his horse is gone. So he then treks all the way to Burrow's house. Except, I think once he gets like halfway there, there's this empty carriage that just like horse-drawn empty carriage that just opens, and he's like, okay. So he gets in that, and that takes him all the way up to his house. He goes and he greets the Orlok. It could not be Orlok, by the way. I could be completely wrong. It's something. Count something. The guy who's in the castle who wants to buy the thing. The guy that's in the castle that wants to buy the thing. And so, to buy the house. And so they go up to his castle. It's a push button. That's cool. But anyways, he goes up, recounts that whole story to them, like, hey, I ran into like a gypsy village. I stayed there for a night, and they did this weird ritual. And he's like, oh, don't be bothered with their superstitions. Blah, blah, blah. Bro signed some papers, I guess, that are like required document for him to sign, to like, get the house or whatever. Legal stuff. They have this long drawn out conversation. I forget what happens, but and like I think he goes and starts looking around the mansion or the castle or whatever. And then he realizes, he mentions it later on, but he mentions that Orlok, or whatever his name is, has his wife's locket. And so he tries to make his way back. But then Orlok catches him. Or no. Does he fall into the river? I forget exactly what happens, but basically he gets saved by nuns or something. And I think that they are keeping hold of him in some kind of way. I'm butchering the crap out of this review. I'm sorry, I haven't done this in a minute. But basically, as all of this is going on, his wife is having these convulsions. Did I mention that the other recognizable person in the film is Willem Dafoe? Because I'm about to explain where his character comes in. If I didn't say that at the beginning. Yeah, Willem Dafoe and that other actor are the only ones that I really knew from that I knew from other films. That they were recognizable. The other actors, maybe they had recognizable faces, but I don't know them from anything. But anyways, so they basically take. He's like, oh shit. He has my locket, or he has my wife's locket. He finds out that his wife was right about him. That he's like, there's evil or whatever. So while remember that the wife is at his friend's, it must be like a prior colleague or something like that, their family's house, and during all of this, she is having like these convulsions. She's having these really bad dreams. She's like arching her back and having these like, basically it's like meant to be like demonic possession is what it looks like. As that's going on, they're like, hey, we have to figure out how to like deal with this, because he calls in one of his a doctor, and then that doctor's like, listen, there's this guy that I know is a genius doctor, and he knows how to diagnose stuff like this, and then with a diagnosis we can get her out. So he calls him in, and that's Willem Dafoe's character. The funny way that they introduce him is he's like having these like talks, he's kind of mumbling, and he's having like gibberish, talking to himself. And then you realize like, oh, this guy's insane. Or at least that's what you're meant to think. Like, oh, this guy's like actually like fucking wacko. But then he comes to his senses, and then he all of a sudden knows the exact issue that they came there for. Like he had an oracle perception of why they went there, because they never told him why they went there. He's like, oh yeah, your wife, she's having these symptoms, and this is happening every night. Let's go and help her. Or it wasn't his wife, but his friend's wife or whatever, and that's what he says, right? And because the husband goes with the doctor, because the doctor, this is his like mentor from college or something. I don't know if I explained that very well, but I think you get the gist. The doctor called in a bigger doctor. They got the big guns in, and they're gonna go and try and help her. And he goes to her, and it's this really funny scene. And he goes to her, and he's like, "Oh, she's possessed." And then they're like, "Of course, well, he means that she's having like macabre hallucinations." And he's like, "No, I mean she's literally possessed." Like Willem Dafoe's character's like, "No, she's literally having demonic possessions. She's being controlled by a spirit." And he's like, it's like gibberish. It's coming out. He sounds crazy. And this entire time, you know, the guy's like, "No, I don't want her to. She's having malady," which I'm assuming what they mean by malady is must mean insanity. Like she's going clinically insane. And so when they say, "Oh, like, oh, it must help her with her malady," and it's like we have to help her with her malady, and it's like, and he's like, "Yeah, but let's just not talk about it anymore," because bro was getting fed up over it. Like he wasn't able to get any sleep, and I'm out of food, so I guess I'm gonna like kind of skip towards these last parts. But basically, what ends up happening is the guy that was being helped by the nuns, the guy who initially went to Nosferatu, because Nosferatu, we now know that Nosferatu and Orlok are the same guy. He has this big plot to get with main character's wife, and so main character is going to go back to his wife to be like, "Hey, I'm gonna try and protect you from Nosferatu," because he's like, you know, a really evil guy or whatever. And eventually what they end up explaining is that when main character's wife was single, this gets weird, okay? When main character's wife was single, she had like a lot of loneliness, and she let Nosferatu in, and they had an intimate moment. And because of that, it entwined their souls somehow. And the only way to break the curse is for them to reunite in that way before sunrise. And you do see that scene at the end of the movie. So if you don't want to watch stuff like that, it's not super graphic. I mean, you see like, you know, some nudity, but like it's weird. Nonetheless, it is weird. I'm not gonna deny it's weird, but it's not. If you're into artsy movies, like if you've ever seen, it's a horror film. It's not the same, but like, well, I guess this would also be horror. Like, have you ever seen Midsummer? It's weird in that way, where like everything is kind of like eerie, and nothing is exactly scary, but like it's creepy what's going on. And then there's scenes that shock you and make you go, "What the fuck?" But it's not like, none of it's strictly scary, and none of it's strictly bad or weird. It's just weird. Like, it's kind of like that in a way. And so because of that plot, they then go looking for the grave of Nosferatu, like him, the doctor, and then the big doctor, like the higher up doctor. They go looking, and I'm skipping a few details, but they go looking for the I think it's his grave, to be like, "Oh, hey, you know, we gotta destroy his grave." And so if they destroy his grave before he sleeps in it, before daytime, then I think the point is that it'll kill him. But that was just a plot by the main girl, because she's basically just taking ownership over the fact that she had a fling with a demon, like back when I guess she was a teenager. And now she has to make up for it, so she eventually gives herself, so it relinquishes them of the curse of Nosferatu, and then that's the end of the film. And there's some details and some minor things that happen in between there, and you can watch the movie to get those details. But that's essentially like the main plot line of everything that happens, and you can let me know if you watched it. Do you like it? Did you enjoy it? And if you're gonna go and still watch it after you watch it, put your let me know in the comments. You can come back to this video and let me know. But the main thing, guys, let me know if you like this new mic. I think when editing it, I'll see if I actually really truly enjoy it. There's gonna be some background noise. Obviously, I have my computer right there, and the fans are going. But when I was listening to it over again, there's no like bad background noise. No, like nothing super crazy. I think if I get right up to the microphone like this, could be really good. I could do some up close videos, but I'd rearrange it, because I'm literally like leaning over and getting straight up to the microphone in order to be able to talk into it. And then that might be really good for like an up close video. But if I'm like 6 inches away from it or any further away, this is kind of like what I would hope is good audio quality. But yeah, hey guys, look out for more content in the future. I'm going to be trying to, and also for my channel members, thank you guys. Thank you so much to my channel members for sticking in there with me and staying a channel member. I'm going to try and make some content for you guys soon. So if you're interested in becoming a channel member, do that, because I'm going to be making some, now that I have an actual good mic that I feel comfortable making content with, I'll try and like make way more content, but then also, do behind the scenes stuff so that you guys can enjoy it more. But thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you're having a great rest of your day or your night. And yeah, so you have a good one. Good night.